Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is an end-to-end video of my painting Orange Poppy 2. This is part 2 of 4. In part 2, I'm working with the petals, and I started with the underlying petals, which is something I always try to do, because petals on flowers overlap each other. So if I start with the underneath ones, the overlapping ones later, it just seems to enhance the effects of how the flower comes together. Here I'm working with enhancing inner darks and doing a lot of glazing. I also begin to remove paint to stress highlights and where the light is actually hitting the flowers. I hope that you'll like this video and subscribe, please. Now let's paint. Coming into petal number 2, I've detailed the outer part of the petal, and now I'm moving into the inner part. I'm putting in my water wash again, and coming outward toward each fold. Bright oranges to start. And I'm still looking at my flower, my model, which is right in front of me in a vase. Did a little blending there because that part of the petal did not fold inward quite as much. And a strong mix of cadmium red and orange. And then I'm adding some alizarin crimson and a bit more of the mauve mixed together to make a deep color. It's important for this petal to get the good strong structure. And meanwhile, the petal on the right has dried, and you could see that the colors are much lighter than they were when I applied them wet on wet. So some glazing will be required to build the colors back up to where I want them. Well, my trick here is to show where the fold of the petal goes inward, and not to make a really hard edge, because flowers have a lot of soft edges and folds. So I'm putting in the darker color, and then I'm doing a little bit of blending right at the very edge with a damp brush. And again, I'm observing how the folds of the petal go upward and over the bend to try to have the continuity of the petal make some logical sense. And on to the first petal that overlaps. This is best done when what you're overlapping is already dry. So you'll have the maximum amount of control and it won't flow right into the underpetal. Starting with my brilliant colors, adding a lot of yellow to this so it will stand out. And petal number 3 is done. And I'm getting out some more vermilion and chrome orange. Laying in water on the individual folds. Now, as I go over these folds with water, it's reinforcing what I'm seeing in terms of the patterns and the directions. If I just painted everything straight across, I wouldn't be continuing to learn what this flower actually looks like as I paint. But if I paint the water in, then I'm going to follow in with the lines of color. And logically, it all seems to come together better for me if I follow the forms in this way with water first. So first the lightest tones, and then some medium tones as I figure out where everything goes together in this petal. One of the petals had actually fallen off, so several times I held it up to the paper to see if I was matching the color to my satisfaction. This lovely flower did hold up for several days worth of work, but I also took a reference photo for when it finally came undone. Here I've mixed in alizarin crimson for some good strong dark colors, and I'm using it quite concentrated in the paint. And then moving into the inner part of the petal, excuse me, where it folds inward. You'll notice I've left a couple very white spots. That is where the flower comes together with some more intricate folds, and I want to make sure I get them right. I also don't want to paint wet into wet at the point of overlap. So I am leaving them until the paints get a little bit drier so I have more control. This is my darkest tone I'm using, which is mauve and alizarin crimson. Back to petal number 1 and doing some glazing to make my darks darker. I think it's important to show the strong point of overlap with a contrast. So here I'm using a darker overlapping petal with a lighter, brighter color on the inside of the under petal. And then adding more of my darkest mix all around the inner part of the poppy. Here I've decided to do some removing of paint to make some brights brighter. So I'm coming in with water on my brush, painting the heck out of it, blotting and removing with my paper towel and with my damp brush. I like how those little lights add some gleam and some glossiness to the flower. And I'm going to do this all the way around the flower. And it's almost like a dance of adding color and taking color away. But with this nice Arches paper, it makes it easy to work with. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some ideas out of my videos. I do appreciate your likes, and I hope you'll subscribe. You know, if you click on the bell and select all, you'll get a ring each time I post a new video. Your comments are welcome too, and there's links below that show many of the products that I personally use for you to check out. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next video.